Do you know what a truth and a lie is? What's the truth?
It means that it really happened, and a lie is that it didn't happen.
Right. Very good.
The girl you see here is 7-year-old Charlie Clayton. 2 hours before this footage was recorded, Charlie lived a happy life with her parents, Tom and Kelly, and her little brother, Colin. Charlie was laying in bed, trying to fall asleep, but shortly after midnight, something suddenly woke her up. That night, Charlie saw something she should never have seen.
Can you tell me more about that?
There was blood everywhere.
Okay.
On September 29, 2015, the Clayton family's picture-perfect life took a disturbing turn for the worst when 7-year-old Charlie woke up to the sound of her mother screaming.
She was sort of suffering.
Okay.
I tapped her with the hockey stick, then I hugged her leg.
Okay. All right.
Charlie witnessed a nightmare that would be known as the most sinister case the state of New York has ever seen.
911, what is the address of your emergency?
And at only 7 years old, she will become the only person that could solve her mother's case and put an end to the killer's reign of terror.
It's about my mom, and like, where is she at?
The year is 2015. In the quiet town of Clayton, New York, Charlie Clayton lives a happy life with her father Thomas, her mother Kelly, and her little brother Colin. Before Thomas met his wife, he used to play semi-professional ice hockey.
You could say Tom Clayton was a local celebrity.
Tom was chippy, aggressive. His job was to go out there and instigate trouble.
He came across as being very open and fun sort of guy and friendly. He was a charmer.
His local popularity came with a lot of attention from the women, and one of them was Kelly. After a hockey game one evening, Thomas met Kelly at the local bar. Not long after, the two of them fell in love and got married. A year after their marriage, Tom got injured and decided to call an end to his hockey career.
We're not here for a long time, we're here for a good time, and you can only play pro hockey for so long, then you have to go to the real world and get a job, work 9 to 5.
Following this, Thomas starts his own venture by securing a franchise with a company specializing in deep cleaning, as well as restoring properties after fires, floods, and similar disasters. A year later, in 2007, the family welcomes a beautiful girl, Charlie. With business going well, the family lives a happy life. But everything changes on September 29, 2015, when Thomas makes a horrifying discovery after coming home from a poker game.
Help me, my wife is dead.
Is she breathing at all? Nothing?
No, trust me.
Okay, is she beyond CPR?
Yes. Just trust me. Let him do with my kids. You'll see when they get here.
How long has she been down?
I don't know, I just got home.
Following the 911 call, the first responders rush to the scene. Upon arriving, they are met with a shocked neighbor.
How you doing?
Hey.
What's going on?
Tom just came. I'm the neighbor. He
Okay.
just came and got me out of bed.
Okay, what happened?
His wife is in there.
Okay.
The neighbor tells the officer that Kelly is in the house, but what the officer sees inside shocks him to the core.
Oh, okay. She got blood on the wall, blood on the steps. Looks like she was attacked in bed.
It was gruesome. There was blood spattered pretty much everywhere.
Thomas claims he was at his friend's house. Once he got home, he saw his wife laying dead in the pool of blood.
Tom, where were you when this all went down?
Playing poker with my buddy.
Okay. She was home alone?
I came home and my daughter said there was a robber in the house and she saw them.
Okay, come on out here, man.
The officer quickly escorts him out of the house, knowing the intensity of questioning him inside the very place where his wife was murdered would be overwhelming. He carefully examines his clothes and hands, searching for any trace of a struggle, blood, or any clue that might tie him to the crime. To his relief, he finds nothing. Before heading back to the house, the officer questions the neighbor for potential suspects.
Come talk to me over here for a second.
Look, I was sound asleep. He knocked on the door. He asked my wife if we would take the kids. He said, "Derek, come with me quick." I got in the truck and he flew back over.
Okay. Do you know, is there any problems here? Have you ever seen any problems here?
I haven't.
Okay.
He then proceeds to the house to further investigate the crime scene. Inside, he finds Kelly's half-clothed body left in the kitchen. The struggle appears to have started upstairs. She headed for the stairs, but that's when things took a dark turn. They fell together, crashing to the floor.
She's been dragged. Blood on the wall. blood with a hole in the wall, looks like a face plant into the wall. All right, I'm gonna get a paramedic, come in and verify. Nobody comes in unless you see me first or I get a supervisor here.
The scene is so shocking that even the first responder struggles to maintain composure. Everything points to Kelly fiercely defending herself against her assailant. In those final moments, she desperately fought for her life.
I think that's probably why she fought so hard, because she knew that she was really the last thing standing between that perpetrator and her children.
After the police investigate the whole scene, Kelly's family starts to show up, shocked by what they see. They can see the entire property wrapped in crime scene tape, police and medics all over the place, making it very intense.
You can never imagine the horror of hearing that one of your children was brutally beat to death, ever.
I didn't know how she died. I didn't know what happened to her. I didn't know where she was. I just wanted to go to her. And I wanted to hold her. But I couldn't.
As the detectives go through the evidence, they notice some strange details. To start with, Thomas insists that his daughter called him, reporting a robbery at their family residence.
The side door's open, that door's open. No forced entry on either one. Okay.
The story about a robbery just isn't working. There doesn't seem to be any sign of forced entry, but if that's the case, how did the robber get in?
Nothing is stolen. There are no indications of a break-in. Although the garage door stands open, nothing inside has been disturbed. It seems as if Kelly's life was the only target. With injuries like those, particularly on someone's face, it often suggests a crime of passion. It hints at the idea that the attacker knew the victim personally. Thomas Clayton claims he has an alibi, playing poker with his buddies. Surprisingly, there is an eyewitness who claims she saw what happened. It's 7-year-old Charlie.
Charlie had witnessed the entire brutal murder of her mother, beaten to death. She described Kelly's last breaths.
Subsequently, detectives take Charlie to the police headquarters for a talk. They hope she can provide them with details of everything she saw.
Well, Charlie, do you know why we brought you here today? Okay, we're gonna have to talk a little bit about last night, okay? Or if I ask a question that you're not certain about or that you don't understand, can you let me know? Okay, all right.
With so much that has happened to Charlie in the last few hours, detectives fear that Charlie could still be in shock. She's surrounded by unfamiliar faces, being asked questions. When talking to a child in such a delicate state, it's essential to have a skilled child interviewer present, as handling these situations requires a special touch.
Do you know what a truth and a lie is? What's the truth?
It means it really happened and a lie is that it didn't happen.
Right, very good. So...
You're so smart.
Charlie explains that her father tucked her into bed before heading out to play cards with his friends. In the dead of night, a man entered and began attacking her mother with what looked like a pipe. She recalls the horror, describing how there was blood everywhere, on her door, on the floor, though not on the carpet. She genuinely thought her mother had died as she lay motionless on the ground while her father was out, leaving them alone for about 20 minutes. When he finally returned and saw her mother covered in blood on the floor, his reaction was one of shock. The girl seems oddly calm as she talks, showing no real understanding of what happened to her mother.
She was sort of suffering. Okay. I tapped her with the hockey stick, and I hugged her leg.
Okay, all right. And where was Mom when you hugged her?
Laying down in the kitchen with blood all over.
Okay.
Following this, Charlie tells them the robber looked a lot like her dad. The figure had her father's shoes and his jeans, but the thief stayed silent, likely knowing that his voice could be recognized by someone familiar.
Everything was just like Daddy. And then she looks at me, she goes, but it couldn't have been Daddy, because then who would take care of us?
Finally, after some questioning, Charlie shows concern for her mother, not aware of the situation.
Because about my mom, and like, where is she at?
We need to find that out for you.
We'll find out for you, sweetie.
We'll find that.
Okay.
Although Charlie's testimony is believable, there's one problem. Her father has an alibi. He was at a poker game that night, which proves to be the truth. Subsequently, he is interrogated by detectives, but they can't charge him for anything. He seems prepared and says he has a GPS on his truck that can show his exact location throughout the night. It is something he repeats during the conversation.
He was definitely calmer than I would say a normal person would be. He wasn't agitated.
The police then question other family members, trying to piece together what happened. Their focus quickly shifts to Michael Beard, a former worker at Clayton's business who left on bad terms. Beard had worked for Clayton as a laborer, handling various tasks both at the company and around Clayton's home.
I would come in and cut the drywalls, pull up the rugs. Anything that got infected by the water that was there, we would just basically remove.
Michael was recently fired under suspicion of theft. He also rented a unit from the Claytons. At first, he claims he has been drinking all night with his girlfriend, Holly. However, the police quickly uncover a connection between Thomas and Michael Beard on the night of the murder. While Tom attended a poker game, he borrowed a phone from one of the hosts, claiming he needed to make a quick call. Once he returns the phone, the call logs are erased, but the phone company's records still exist.
We determined through her records that Tom had used her phone, that he had actually had a conversation with that person, then deleted it from Mrs. Miller's phone. At the time, you could plug in a phone number to Facebook and it would spit up the account.
This person was Michael Beard. With his consent, Michael is then brought in for a polygraph test.
He failed. He failed miserably.
While detectives are questioning Michael, his girlfriend, Holly, is brought up in another room. There, she tells detectives that the two of them fought on the night of the murder. The argument escalated, and Michael stormed out around 11:30. However, about an hour and a half later, he returned. This timeline aligns perfectly with a call Thomas received at 10:53. Holly also shares a crucial piece of information.
Thomas Clayton had approached Michael Beard about burning his house down for $10,000.
My boss came into the interrogation with that information. Said, Michael, we know about the $10,000.
Following this turn of events, Beard starts talking. He suddenly becomes very helpful to the police. He tells them that Tom handed him the keys. The plan was to murder Kelly, light up the house, and destroy the cars, all to stage an insurance fraud. Clayton had doubled Kelly's life insurance to a hefty $1 million just a year before, making the scheme even more lucrative. Michael entered through the garage and proceeded upstairs, where he saw Kelly. Subsequently, Michael even leads detectives to the place where he dropped the murder weapon.
Beard threw the stick on the side of the road.
Beard told them that's where he left the murder weapon, the maul handle that he used to attack Kelly.
I think the homicide itself was more brutal than he had anticipated, and he said in his words that he got scared.
Following this, Beard's friend, Michael Blandford, goes to the police headquarters. There, he tells them he was with Michael on the night of the murder. Michael called him on the night of the murder to keep him company while he was doing some work, but Mark claims he didn't know what the job was.
He asked me about doing the job. I'm thinking maybe it might be some type of drug deal or something. As we start writing out, Mike's telling about the job, he's saying he's getting, I think it was $3 grand he's getting. He said, I'll pay you $500. I'm like, all right. And along the way, he says, I'm at to kill a bitch. I do remember him saying that.
At first, Mark thought the job would be some kind of drug deal, but little did he realize he was about to watch a killer go inside a house and kill an innocent woman.
It's pitch black. There's no street light, nothing. Pitch black. And he went walking down the street. And I was at 15, 20 minutes past, he comes back. He said, nobody was supposed to be there. The kids are supposed to be at the grandmother's. That's all he mentioned. He didn't tell me that he killed her. He didn't tell me who was in the house.
Beard is immediately taken into custody for the crime of murder. However, one question still remains. Charlie claims the intruder resembled her father. After more detailed interviews with Charlie and a deeper analysis, it became clear that the intruder was actually wearing a mask. It seems likely that when Charlie said the intruder looked like her dad, she was referring to his clothing, which matched her father's. Following Michael's arrest, Thomas is also charged with murder. However, he is quickly bailed out. While the both of them wait for the trial, Thomas goes on to enjoy his life.
He goes and gambles at the Borgata in Atlantic City. He's living life. Definitely not the life of a mourning husband.
He didn't seem to be profoundly upset.
Finally, 1 year after the murder, Michael Beard goes on trial, but it doesn't go as expected. Beard changes his story, now claiming not guilty. He recounts that Clayton told him he would give him $10,000 if he set his house on fire, promising no one would be inside. But when he entered the house that night, he says he saw Kelly laying dead on the floor, after which he freaked out and left.
I see her laying on the floor. And I get scared from that point, which, not using it for an excuse, but I never called 911 that night. I wanted to get out of that situation. I had walked into something that had nothing to do with me.
He says this was all supposed to be, I was supposed to burn the house down, burn the cars. It was all part of this insurance scam. It never was supposed to be a murder. I'm not the killer. Tom Clayton is the killer.
In court, Beard's testimony falls apart for a straightforward reason. He takes back his confession, even though he had directed the police to the real murder weapon and other crucial evidence. The jury finds it impossible to accept that he wasn't involved in Kelly's murder. In November 2016, Michael Beard faces conviction for both first and second-degree murder. As a result, he receives a life sentence without the possibility of parole for first-degree murder, along with an additional 25 years for the second-degree charge. Then, on January 9, 2017, over 15 months after the tragic death of Kelly Clayton, her husband, Thomas, faces trial, charged with her murder.
The courtroom was packed every day, not just with Kelly's family and Tom Clayton's family, but people who knew them.
He was a local celebrity of types. And not only that, but Kelly was well known throughout the community too. I think that's where a lot of this media attention came from.
I've covered a lot of murder trials and other trials of other serious crimes, some of which have kept me up at night, some of which have haunted me for months. This was one of them.
The prosecution needs to prove there was an ongoing connection between Clayton and Beard before and after the murder, particularly on the night of the crime and around that time. By then, they had gathered sufficient documentation, including recoveries and statements from others. Blandford also testifies in court, and the evidence strongly indicates that Michael Beard is the one who killed Kelly Clayton. On the other hand, Clayton holds to his defense.
Clayton and his attorneys denied everything. They wanted to pin everything on Beard and said that Clayton had nothing to do with it.
There's three sides of every story, your side, my side, and the truth.
Security footage that detectives have obtained reveals that on the night of the murder, Michael was driving a borrowed truck as he exited the ServPro parking lot. The timing matches perfectly with the moment Tom made a call to Michael. At the same time, Tom was on his way to a poker game, driving a work vehicle, a ServPro truck. The theory suggests that Tom drove his personal car to ServPro, left it there, and then used the work truck to reach the poker game. This leftover car was available for Michael to pick it up, drive to Tom's house, and commit the murder.
After he returned the truck to ServPro, he rode home on his bike.
It's a pattern that clearly shows that Michael Beard and Thomas Clayton did this together.
After only 6 hours of deliberating, the jury comes back with a decision.
Tom Clayton is found guilty of first-degree murder and second-degree murder in the killing of his wife, Kelly.
I told my sister from the night she was murdered that we would not stop fighting for her.
Following this, the judge gives his sentence. Clayton receives a life behind bars with no chance of parole. Given the sentence, Tom doesn't take it easily.
Screaming at the top of his lungs that he didn't kill his wife. Everyone in the courtroom was shocked.
Even Charlie writes her own letter in which she says she loves her mommy and daddy, but calls her father a coward because he orchestrated her mother's murder. At the end, Kelly's sister, Kendall, gives her final statement.
You took her life, not her light. And her light will shine forever. Through Charlie, through Cullen, through me, forever. And we'll be okay.